Welcome to today's lesson of Online School of Entrepreneurship. I am Dr. Kirian Mfam. In today's lecture, we will dwell on the causes of poor graduate quality in Nigeria. Upon completion of this lecture, our audience will be able to explain the immediate and remote causes of poor graduate quality in Nigeria. Causes of poor graduate quality in Nigeria. There are many factors that account for causes of poor quality graduates in Nigeria today. Some of the major causes of poor graduate quality in Nigeria are: A. Government factor. Under government factor, we have the following sub-factors. 1. Politicization of appointments of provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors. This is one of the causes of poor administration of tertiary institutions, where the positions of provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors are meant to settle political associates, especially by state governments in state-owned institutions. When they begin to politicize the appointments of provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors, they go for their friends and cronies instead of going for competence and what the potential appointee will bring to the table in terms of effective tertiary institution administration. This also ensures that those that are competent will not find a place to administer these institutions because they don't have the political connection to be appointed as provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors. This in itself brings inefficiency in administration because the administrator appointed was not appointed on the basis of competence or what he or she has to offer, but on the basis of man-to-man, based on political linkage. 2. Settlement mentality of some provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors. Once appointed and upon assumption of office, some provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors see those appointments as settlements for the service or the relationship they have with the appointer. When you begin to have this kind of mentality, you will not be service-driven. Rather, you'll be self-centered in terms of what you'll be able to accumulate for yourself and your family, to the detriment of the institution and its students. 3. Importation of provosts, rectors, and vice-chancellors from other institutions. This is particularly concerning state-owned institutions, where a rector, a provost, and a vice-chancellor will be imported from another institution to an institution where he or she has no knowledge about. Bringing a new administrator to administer a tertiary education institution is in itself a source of demotivation to the existing lecturers who have worked so hard in their career to grow and excel. When such people are imported, they come to their institutions where they are going to administer as people that are novice, that are new to the environment. And the first step is to begin to understand the dynamics and functionalities of such organization. That takes time for them to settle and express their efforts in the administration of the institution. This also affects the quality of the graduates we produce. 4. Poor funding of tertiary education institutions. Poor funding is a factor that is generally known by people that accounts for the seeming decline of quality education in Nigeria. because with poor funding, instructional facilities will not be available for students to teach. For students to learn and for the lecturers to teach. Poor funding also affects the welfare of the lecturers. Poor funding is one of the major issues that affects the decline of higher or quality education in higher institutions. 5. Decay of existing instructional facilities for teaching and learning. The existing teaching and learning in most tertiary educational institutions are decaying. They have decayed to the extent that they can no longer be used, therefore depriving lecturers and students the good environment, the right environment for teaching and learning. 6. Inadequate teaching and learning facilities. The facilities that are made available for instructional purposes are grossly inadequate. Where you see in a practical class where one student is supposed to use a particular item for study, that item will be covered by about 10, 15, and 30 people using one item. How can learning be effective under this kind of circumstance? 7. Obsolete laboratory equipment and facilities for practical work. The equipment and facilities that are made available for students to use and learn, they are obsolete. They are no longer in tune with what is happening in the world of work and in the business world. There is a great disparity between what is used outside the community, where the student is supposed to go and work upon graduation, and the tools that are being used in school. This mismatch is a major source of poor academic quality in Nigerian tertiary institutions. 8. Poor staff welfare. The welfare of staff, especially academic staff, is so poor. As an academic staff, you find it difficult to even provide food for yourself and for your family, talk less of maintaining yourself and offering yourself and family a good living. B. Institutional factor. Under this factor, we have the following sub-factors. 1. Corruption by some principal officers of educational institutions. Some educational administrators, in the form of rectors, provosts, and vice chancellors, are very corrupt. They see academic corruption as part and parcel of why they were appointed. This is because the institutional framework for ensuring accountability and transparency within the educational institutions have been compromised by the very people that were appointed to administer those institutions. They connive with principal officers of the institutions to get rid of the resources of the enterprise for their personal and private gains. 2. Zero instructional supervision by HODs and deans. It is very unfortunate to note that some head of departments and deans do not see the instructional administration as part of their responsibilities as heads. HODs and deans see themselves as people that have been appointed again in order to take care of themselves by serving the roles they think are good for them, instead of looking at what will improve the instructional content of their departments and faculties. 3. Lack of commitment by some lecturers in the teaching learning process. Some lecturers don't have the need to enter the class or to even be in school because they don't have the calling. This lack of calling makes them not to be committed to the instructional function of teaching and learning. They are lazy, they are lousy, and they are characterized by being absent in class. That is why if you go to our classes these days, you see some lecturers who at all struggle to enter the class will be teaching and the students will not be hearing. This is lack of commitment and this is gross incompetence. 4. Sex and money for grade. Sex and money for grade has become part of educational institutions where students will be allowed to give up their bodies for them to get marks, or to provide financial resources which they don't even have before they can be scored and passed. 5. Overpopulated class sizes. Our class sizes are exceedingly large. You can imagine a lecturer teaching a class of 1,000, 2,000, 300 students in one class. How can learning and teaching be effective under that circumstance? 6. Lack of protection of students willing to expose academic corruption. Most students are willing to expose academic corruption, but the environment is not secured and protective enough to motivate them to do so. Doing so will be taking a risk at your own peril. 7. Employment of academic staff on the basis of man, no man. Some lecturers are appointed not because of their academic qualifications or experience, but because the vice chancellor, the provost, or the rectors know them as their people. That's why you see instances where a first-class material will not be employed, but a third-class material will be employed to lecture. That is the situation that is happening in most of our universities. Competence is minimized and foolishness is optimized. 8. Boss mentality of academic staff. Lecturers see themselves as bosses. They are in charge. Nobody can talk to them. Nobody can do anything to them. They go to class when they like. They do whatever thing they like. They use the time to teach and learn to go and do their private businesses. They are boss. They are. Nobody can question them. They come to class when they want to come to class. They do whatever thing they want to do because there is poor instructional supervision. 9. Revenue generation focus of tertiary educational institutions. The primary essence of establishing educational institutions is to give knowledge, to impart knowledge to students. This revenue dimension has killed the spirit of teaching and learning, where the focus of educational administrators, as vice chancellors, as provosts, as rectors, is to generate money. How much can the school generate internally and externally? That is the main focus, instead of looking at how to improve the instructional process so that our students can learn and be better for the society. 10. Wrong vocation or calling. Most people in class, in the name of lecturers, they are not supposed to be lecturers. They are not supposed to be in class. It is not their calling. There is no passion. There is no drive. They are there for economic reasons to survive. 11. Competition of lecturers with their friends in business, politics, and other money-spinning ventures. Where will a lecturer be competing his or herself with a businessman that does business and gets money on a daily basis? Where will a lecturer go and compete his or herself with a politician when their sources of income are different? Even if you want to be a politician, why not go and do politics? If you want to be a businessman, why not go and do business? Why do you want to live the life of a businessman that saves money on a daily basis, and the life of a politician whose sources of income are defined separate from the way they define your income is? It is high time lecturers began to look at the quality and integrity of their job. Lecturers are moderate people, and as moderate people, we must show example to the society. 13. 12. Appointment of heads of departments on the basis of man no man. When you begin to appoint heads of departments When you begin to support deans or people to become deans of faculties on the basis of their relationship with you, you begin to lose sight of the challenging job of administering departments and faculties. 13. Appointment of heads of units. Heads of units or departments to make returns from corrupt academic practices. Some of these heads of departments, heads of units, are appointed not on the basis of competence, but on the basis of what they will return to the appointer from the illicit resources generated from students and within the environment. 14. Borrowed lifestyle of some lecturers. I have mentioned it earlier, where as a lecturer, you go and live a lifestyle that is bigger than you. A car that a seasoned businessman will drive, that is a car you want to drive as a lecturer. When you know that your income, your genuine income, will not be able to afford such a car. Because you associate with a politician, the kind of car he drives, that's the kind of car you want to drive. You are living a borrowed life. And that the life will put you under pressure. And that pressure will translate to poor academic quality. 5. Promotion conspiracy against junior colleagues. There are some people within the educational system that have formed themselves as cabals against their junior colleagues. When it comes to promotion, they begin to manifest how bad they feel about the particular junior lecturer, to the extent that that lecturer will be stagnated. If you stagnate a lecturer, when he or she is qualified to be promoted, he is going to transfer that to the students. The students will be at the receiving end. He will not put in his best. He will be demotivated. He will be discouraged to teach, and students will not be able to learn. C. Parental factor. Under parental factor, we have the following. 1. Inability of parents or guardians to meet the urgent and unplanned financial demands from some corrupt staff, especially some lecturers. Our parents are also at the receiving end of the kind of vices that are happening in tertiary education institutions, where lecturers begin to mount pressure on students to bring illicit finances that parents are not planned for. They put parents under pressure to go and research monies to send to their students just to go and sort or study their lecturers. 2. Insistence of parents that their children must be educated to graduate level. Education is not for everybody. Not everybody is meant to be educated to the level of being a graduate. That is why it is difficult for most of our children to concentrate, because it is not their calling. Understand the dynamics and characteristics of your child, and know if such a child will do better in school or out of school. 3. Parents' choice of career for their children against children's interests. When we begin to choose career paths for our children because of the flavors associated with certain careers or professions, we begin to put our children or works in a fix. Allow children to choose their careers based on their interests so that they can put in their best to become developed in that career path. 4. Inability of some parents to check and monitor their children's progress in school. For some parents, once their children leave the house to schools, there's no follow-up, not even a call to how you are doing, what are the issues, what are the challenges. It is good to have this interaction with children so that you help them to improve their quality. D. Student factor. Now the student factor, we have the following sub-factors. 1. Inability of students to call out academically corrupt lecturers due to fear of victimization. Most students are afraid to report academically corrupt lecturers for fear that they'll be victimized, or that they'll be punished for saying the truth. If you don't say the truth is going to affect you negatively in the quality of education that you receive. 2, negative peer group influence. The kind of friends our children associate with in school also affect their learning potentials. If your child is fortunate to have friends that are academic oriented, it will surely have positive impact on the child. If the reverse is the case, of course, you know that the quality of your child in terms of education received will be low. 3, social media distraction. Our students are now so inclined to social media to the extent that even when the lecturer is teaching, they are on Facebook, they are on WhatsApp, they are on that social media platform, doing what they think is more important to them at that time than the lectures they are in. 4, absenteeism in class, not doing classwork, not doing assignment, not writing tests, and even not writing exams. Most students don't attend classes. If you don't attend class, how will you have knowledge? If you don't do assignment, how will you have assessment? And if you don't write the exam, how can you complete your studies? 5, wrong choice of career. Students go and choose careers that are different or in disagreement with their abilities. As students, let's encourage them to choose careers or programs of study that align with their intellectual capacity and learning interest. 6, poor quality primary and secondary education received. Most of my colleagues have asked me why students in tertiary institutions these days perform poorly. My question has been that, 1, they should go back and check the kind of secondary education and primary education they received. If in tertiary institutions like colleges of education, polytechnics, and university, a student cannot spell, a student cannot read, a student cannot add 1 plus 1, that is not the function of a tertiary institution. The functions of numeracy and literacy are embedded in the curriculum of primary and secondary education. Therefore, if a child does not get it right in primary and secondary education by way of literacy and numeracy, such a children will not be able to do well in tertiary institutions, because at the level of tertiary institutions, the focus is to develop the person to maximize his potential, not to lay a foundation for reading, for writing, or for computing. 7, laziness and lack of commitment. Most students are lazy to the extent that they can't even get up to attend classes. There are situations where a lecturer will be in class, the student that left the house to school will sit outside and be gisting while lectures are going on. They are lazy and they are not committed. And this has negative impact on their quality as graduates. 8, poor study habits. Some students do not know the best way to study so as to internalize concepts that are taught. If students are able to devise ways that are unique to their understanding and learning, it is going to improve on their quality. Thank you and God bless you. You can support us by 1, following us on our Facebook page, Online School of Entrepreneurship. 2, subscribing to our YouTube channel, Entrepreneurship Teacher. And 3, liking, commenting, and sharing our posts. Thank you and see you in our next lecture.